Hi everyone, I hope you guys are all okay. I want to begin this video by revealing something that's happened in my family this week, and I need to reveal it in order to make you understand the subject that I'm going to talk about and why I feel a certain way about the subject, which, as you can see from the title, is The Greatest Showman. On New Year's Eve, my family has suffered a bereavement, which has been really, really hard. Yeah, it's really upsetting, but at least they're no longer in pain, and you know, I have to think of the positive things of that now. I know that's a really, really sad and dark way kind of to begin this film in this video to talk about why I love the film, as you see from the title, The Greatest Showman. But I need you to understand that in order to convey what I'm going to say. Right. So I first saw The Greatest Showman. It opened here in the UK on the 26th, on Boxing Day, and I saw it for the first time on the 29th. I loved it. The next day, on the 30th, I watched it for a second time. I loved it again. And the next day was when we had this bereavement, and everything kind of changed, as it were, just as when I think when anybody loses anybody, things just feel really weird for a while, and it still does, and you know, and everything. You know, there's times where you feel really happy and you want to laugh, and there are times where you just suddenly burst into tears for no reason whatsoever. It's just the grieving process. But ages ago, in a video that I did with my sister about musicals, we talked about Hamilton, and she was saying about how she lost a friend of hers, and literally the very next day she found Hamilton, and how that helped her through it, and how it was the best and it was the worst thing that could hit that come to her life, because it's all about death and everything. But it's amazing. It's absolutely astonishing. And in a sense, The Greatest Showman for me is the same thing, where it's such a great thing to enter my life when this event is happening, but at the same time it's kind of the worst because of how the beautiful love stories and such, and how that's linking in my head to the person who I've lost in my family. It's just, yeah, it's just great. I know that I'm not making any sense whatsoever, and I'm very sorry for not making sense, but it's just, that's how I feel right now. But yeah, I want to explain how this film has helped me. So let's just start off. Let's just talk about the film itself from the very beginning. So this is the film is, of course, The Greatest Showman, as I've got here the CD, because the DVD won't be out until, I don't know, about March, April time. And it follows the true story of P.T. Barnum, who basically established the circus. Now, I'm a Brit, and I only know the name P.T. Barnum because I recall, oh yeah, he's the guy who invented the circus. But that's it. I couldn't tell you diddly squat about his life or anything other than that. So I went into this film like a complete blank canvas. And I loved the trailer. And I'd heard like 30-second kind of snippets of songs, but that was it. I hadn't heard a full song from this film. I didn't know anything else. It was just the trailer and these 30-second clips that I'd heard. So I went in and I was like, okay, bring it on, let's see what you can do. And from the moment it began, it was like, oh hell yes, this is my thing. This is connection to musicals that I just instantly have with some musicals. It's like, wham, that's it. And I was there. Even by the end of that first song, I was like, oh hell yes, this is awesome. Hugh Jackman plays P.T. Barnum in this film, and he does play him very well. But my friend, my sister and I referred to before, Sarah. Hi, Sarah. Hi, my sister Laura. She'll be watching this as well. She was saying how she knows more about the true life P.T. Barnum than I do, because obviously I only know this film, that he wasn't quite the character that he's portrayed. The portrayal in this film is very much the showman side of him, not the real kind of side of him. There's the businessman versus the showman, as it were, and we see the showman's side in this film. I loved that this film is only like an hour and 45 minutes, but you get so much information. And one of the first songs that is in this film, called A Million Dreams, follows him and the character Charity, who becomes his wife, from when they were children all the way through to when they're adults. They've gotten married and they're expecting a child and everything. So that's like 20 odd some years in 3 minutes. And it does it beautifully with the way that it's shot, the specific images that it shows to portray and everything. So it really throws you into this world. This is very like old Hollywood in a sense. The dance, the feel of it and everything. Kind of like how La La Land was very much an homage to old Hollywood, but it was old Hollywood with a modern twist in regards to, the way how you had, for example, the iconic poster with the yellow dress and everything, and how they're doing that dance routine. They're doing that dance routine, which very much is like kind of old Hollywood, but still it's modern time. They're very... If it was in like the 1950s in the hype of Hollywood musicals and that, Emma Stone would be wearing still kind of yellow gown, but very something that was a lot more feathering or something like that. Something that was a bit more wow factor, as it were. But this looks to old Hollywood, but obviously it's set in the 1800s, so it's very... It fits perfectly, and what I love about the music is that the writers, which is Ben Patrick and Justin Paul, you see right there, they basically kind of looked at the characters and figured out what their modern personas would be. And P.T. Barnum, because of the way he was, I totally agree, he was very much kind of like a Steve Jobs kind of a fella, but it was everything to the audience, had to show off, do what you wanted, feel the glory and all that lot, as he did when he did his Apple presentations and everything. And so P.T. Barnum kind of has this kind of hip-hop kind of feel to it, and you can feel that very much in the opening of the very first song, The Greatest Show. And going through, you have other kind of genres that play in as well. So it has a modern kind of soundtrack with classic, musical dance routines set in Victorian times. You could describe it as an alternate Moulin Rouge kind of thing, where you had that vibe, that sense of power and everything in it with this story, but it had that modern kind of soundtrack to it. Now, of course, Moulin Rouge, it kind of used... there were obviously songs that were completely original, but there were ones they used like... Nirvana, wasn't it? Yeah, that used stuff like that. So there was that already link to modern songs, whereas these are all original. These guys are also very famous, these two writers, because lyricists, should I say that, because they wrote the soundtrack. They won the Oscar for La La Land, and they also won the Tony Award for one of my favourite musicals, Dear Evan Hansen. So yeah, the two of them are like a powerhouse at the minute. It took like nearly 8 years for this film to be made, from the process of the initial idea all the way through to the release. So when they started, they weren't that well known. It's like, oh, these guys have just won the Oscar. Oh, they've just won the Tony. So you're in good hands. And if you listen to both of those scores and then listen to The Greatest Showman, you can see that the powerhouse that they are. They are, as my mate Sarah said, they're kind of like the modern Roger and Hammerstein. Their lyrics are phenomenal, and if you don't believe me, listen to these 4 tracks, right? From La La Land, audition song, wow. From Dear Evan Hansen, my absolutely favourite track, because it's so moving and so powerful, is You Will Be Found. And from The Greatest Showman, because there's 2 tracks that are my absolute favourite, and there's on the soundtrack, they're one right after the other. So that section of the soundtrack I'm constantly listening over and over again. And the first one is called Never Enough, which is this beautiful ballad, absolutely astonishingly sung on the soundtrack. And the other one is This Is Me, which is the anthem of the film, where it's saying no matter what words you sling at me, no matter what you do to me, batter me, bruise me, whatever, but this is who I am, and I love who I am, and I'm not going to apologise for it. It's an absolutely astonishing song. And even the first time, second time, third time that I've seen it, I cried when that moment happens in the film, because it's such a moving performance of this glorious song. It's just wow. The everything, the lighting, the cinematography, the costume, the hair, every possible element of this film has just screamed, yes, this is me, this is my thing, God, I love this. Now, obviously, some people aren't going to like it, but that's for everything that comes out, for everyone who likes something, there has to be someone who doesn't like something. So if you don't like this film, I'm not going to, go off on you and say, God, you're absolutely stupid, because, you're entitled to your honest opinion. Just as you would accept if you didn't like it, but you would accept that me saying that I liked it. It's just the way it is. But this captured me perfectly, and then wham, we got hit with this bereavement. And it's really odd, because 18 months ago, I don't know if you guys remember, or possibly you're watching this and you never saw it, I was in the middle of my book challenge it was in 2016, it's in July, and I was reading 1 book a week, and that hit, and that was hard. But because I had the book challenge of 1 book a week, I used music as a support, but I was like, I can't let people down and everything, so I'm just going to plough on with my reading challenge and everything. I'm going to get this done, and So I went to reading. This time I haven't been able to read, which literally, right, I've had this, I've been reading this for a week, Colson Whitehead, The Underground Railroad. I started this on Monday. I'm on page 32. And that's really unlike me. But it's just that dealing with that, being back at work, work's been absolutely crazy. I've literally been working like crazy at work, coming home, eating, falling asleep, and starting up again, and just trying to, do everything that I possibly can, and everything to do with work and in life and everything. And when I've come to actually have a period where I can read, so like on the bus on the way to work, I've just gone, I can't do this, I cannot do this. And I have found myself listening to The Greatest Showman on a loop for a week, just constantly, all through work, at home, when I've been able to. There is something about this soundtrack which has, even before this bereavement happened, I was really listening to it a lot, because I loved it. It brings me so much joy and really lifts me up, because this is so inclusive, this film. It is ridiculous. I haven't had a reaction like this to a film since Beauty and the Beast, and you guys know, from if you've seen my videos on that, I saw that 10 times in the cinema. I've seen it today, the Greatest Showman, today for the 3rd time in the cinema, and I still want more. I still want to go, that buzz, that feeling of utter joy, and saying, as I said, no matter whatever happens in the world, I am who I am and I love me. And that message to send out to, you know, kids and everything, because this is a PG film. I've seen loads of kids in screenings of each of the 3 screenings of The Greatest Showman, and that's really lovely to see. But having that message and having those words, those powerful words to listen to when you're going through something, it's really made me realise this week how powerful music can really be and can really help you cope with something. And yeah, it's been a crazy week, but I've just found so much joy and love through listening to this soundtrack over and over again. I mean, I was in screen today and I've listened to the soundtrack so much, I could mime along to this very easily. I was kind of like singing along to the words to the songs in my head as I was watching it today. But yeah, that just made me feel even more connected to it. I know that may sound a bit odd, but that was how I felt. I absolutely adore also, for another area of it, the relationship that develops between Zac Efron's character and Zendaya, who were both, you know, actors who were Disney kids, and now they've gone off, they've done their own stuff. I actually haven't really seen anything that she's done, because just as, you know, when we've talked before in the Riverdale video with my sister, how Cole Sprouse, in that I'd seen like little snippets of Zac and Cody in that, because it's been on like Saturday morning early TV when I've turned it on, and I kind of had the same with what she's done with Disney, but I couldn't tell you diddly squat what it's called. But I've never heard her sing before. And like I said, those little tiny snippets are the only time I've seen her do acting. And that's a Disney show. That's very different from this film. And I absolutely love her in this film. And the two of them, their chemistry together is just insane. I think you could tell that they really got along. And that really helped with portraying this relationship of them falling for each other, but she's black and he's white, and how society feels about them, and how he feels about being seen in society with her and everything. It's such an interesting storyline, and the way that they convey it is fantastically done. And with the song Rewrite the Stars, it's just perfect way of him trying to convey how he feels, and she conveying how she feels, and how that links up later on with certain events. I'm not going to say what that event is, because obviously there's going to be people here who haven't seen the film, who want to see it, which includes my sister, because she hasn't had a chance to see it yet. But overall, this is like what Hamilton was for my sister when she lost her friend, that this has hit me at the perfect time. The soundtrack never I can't listen to the soundtrack without feeling elevated, without feeling an immense amount of joy in my heart. I can't watch it without smiling. I've just come out of there wanting more every time I've gone to see this, and I think I'm going to see it probably a couple more times before it finishes in the cinema. I hope. Depends on my cinema and when they stop showing it, because it's now down to just, I think, 4 showings a day now, so I hope that doesn't mean it's going to be ending soon. But you know, it is what it is. And I think I've looked online this morning, and it said that for the US that the estimated release of the DVD and Blu-ray is going to be in March, and UK is we usually get DVDs in that release like a week, or well, no. Sometimes it varies. Sometimes it's about 2 weeks, sometimes it's about a month, so it could be more like April that we'll get it. Probably Easter is when it'll be out on DVD and such, but I am going to be like pre-ordering it. I'm on Blu-ray, so I get it as soon as it comes out. I just can't help but adore this, and if it's helping me get through something bad and will always give me good memories when I have listened to the soundtrack, I'll take that. Or whenever I watch it, I'll take that. It's a good film to me. And yeah, so yeah, all the actors, the writers, oh god, the amazing costume designers. That dress that Rebecca Ferguson wears when she performs Never Enough on stage, like, oh my god, that is one of my favourite outfits in the entire film. Lighting, hair, technical stuff. Everybody involved in this film, I adore you and thank you for making this film, because it's wonderful. And that's all I can think of to say right now, guys. But if you've seen this, I'd love to know what you think. Leave comments in the comments box below, or give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Entirely up to you. I'll let you decide. And as to when I'll be finished with this, I don't know. We'll just have to see. But I don't mind sacrificing reading for a while to listen to The Greatest Showman over and over and over again. And that may make me sound weird or whatever, or stupid, or I don't know what that makes me. But I know that, just as said in this is me, this is who I am, this is what I love, and I don't care what everybody thinks of me. You can do whatever, you can say whatever, but that's not going to change who I am. And I adore this film. And yeah, thank you all for watching. Sorry it was a bit of a downer one, but I had to explain how what I'm going through at the moment, and how that links to how I feel about The Greatest Showman and music and how it helps. But yeah, those 4 songs, like I said, for Benji and Justin, listen to the audition song from La La Land, You Will Be Found from Dear Evan Hansen, and from The Greatest Showman, This Is Me and Never Enough. And I think those 4 songs alone will tell you how great lyricists they are, and that we can expect some more really brilliant stuff from them in the future. Alright then, guys, bye.